All right, I think we're live. Sipping my water. Get my radio voice going. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, representing Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness. See how this live goes. See who we get in here. Not going to put up with nonsense, but we're going to keep it real. We're going to have fun and see what sort of questions we get today. Guys, if I don't answer your question, assume it's because I don't want to talk about those topics. You don't need to just keep re-asking it. All right? That's how it has to be sometimes. Because they're weird about some of these topics on YouTube these days. So there's just a lot of stuff I'm just going to ignore you. And I mean, no need to apologize for it. You guys know to, just avoid things that are going to cause problems for the creators. We can't talk about just anything. There are rules. They put rules on this stuff. And I skirt those limits sometimes. When do you prescribe the floor press? That's kind of a nuanced question. It depends on my lifter's anatomy and what's going on. Now, a lot of times I like floor press as a general hypertrophy for lifters who can get a good range of motion on it, but they're starting to get like inflamed pec tendons, or their shoulders are feeling a little bit fatigued in terms of like different rotator cuff muscles or just general inflammation in the joint. I'll sometimes go over to the floor press just to cut that little bit of range of motion out. Then really they're just a test of lockout strength and brute strength for anyone else. To be honest, they're not a particularly good mass builder for lifters who have, let's say, poor back development, because they just don't get that deep of a stretch. They're really just a tester in terms of max effort work at that point, right? 3 inches from chest is, that's pretty decent. I can get within an inch. Darko, I'm not going to discuss those topics in live streams now. Other than I'm on the taper down now to just a replacement TRT at this point, mainly because I want to work on my cardio a bit, and I want my blood work to be pretty. But I mean, I do that periodically. I don't think people realize that I actually spend most of the year at pretty much replacement amounts. Do you have any clients who have managed physically demanding jobs in lifting? Do they just scale back GPP? Yeah, I have lots of clients who do. Not really a big deal. You just have to accommodate to what the person is currently adapted to. I mean, that's the main thing you have to look at with work capacity on those things, right? Thoughts on those whose bench arch makes their range of motion look like 2 inches? That's a bit of a problem, isn't it, Ethan? I mean, I've historically kind of said it's not a problem, but it really is a problem. We know it's a problem. All right. Darko, around 600 nanograms per deciliter. Which is a nice, comfortable, that's a really comfortable number to be at. Good morning, coach. Should our box squat below parallel weight be more than our back squat for max days? No, absolutely not. Your box squatting higher, you're rocking like crazy if you can match them. Your back squat should be stronger than your box squat. What do you consider a good achievable 5K time for a strength athlete? That's a good question, Atomic. I don't have a standard yet. I need to investigate further and figure out what's reasonable. I need to talk to some of my bros who run and kind of figure out what's a reasonable 5K for someone who's got a lot of muscle mass. What would we consider acceptable? To where you just don't suck. And that needs to be what I need to aim for, right? But I'm not running yet. I've started doing conditioning, but I'm not running yet. I'm going to need a little time to build. I want to get into a little better shape with my sled work and stuff and let it cool down just a little bit more. And then I will start taking up some jogging. I'm just going to ease into it slowly, you know? What do you think having a day of low bar squats, then a day of high bar squat, speed day, dynamic days, blah, blah, blah. That got really complicated. And a speed dynamic day, so you want to squat 3 times a week as a non-novice lifter? I think that it's going to beat you up. I don't know why you need to do that. Do you still like the Bulgarian split squat? I prescribe it all the time. Have you ever had delayed onset muscle? What everyone has. I don't get DOMs that often, right? I don't get DOMs that often. What running, you didn't say shoes, but I assume you meant shoes. Are you planning on using Hoka shoes? I don't know, Miko. That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't have an answer for you yet. I am very far from being an expert on running. You know, and I can freely admit that. I am not up to speed with what people are currently doing in the running world. Okay. So, and I'm just going to admit that. And I think that's fair. I wish people could do that. Don't we wish we could all do that more often, to just say, you know what, I'm really not up to speed on that. I'm going to have to do some digging. How much do you think it costs you to build your garage gym? What is my current? What have I invested? Approximate, and what do I have it insured as? $30,000. Does DOMS imply that your muscle hasn't recovered and shouldn't train at all? No, it doesn't imply that. It's questioned in the science if DOMS is even about the actual muscle fibers at all, actually. How would you train if you're sick with a fever? You shouldn't train. If you're sick with a fever, you should spend that gym time in bed getting hydrated. Do singles have a place in bodybuilding training? I'm just going to say this, and then people are going to get mad at me. So, because they're always like, you can't use the Ronnie Coleman line. Did Ronnie Coleman win the Mr. Olympia while doing heavy singles? Yes. So there you go. Okay, do you have to wait till you natural don't have a fever to train again? Look, if you have a fever, you shouldn't be training. I hope you're having a great day, Jason. As a fellow Texan, I'm ready for this summer to be over. I hear you, brother. Darko, why would you assume that? I've hit PRs doing it before. You guys just weren't aware of it. Have you ever had rhabdo or a close call? Nope. Is it still over 100 there in Texas? That's a good question. Let me see what it is right now at this exact moment. It is 97 Fahrenheit right now at this exact moment. Exquisite, I don't have an answer for why certain videos get less views than others these days. I don't know. People just aren't watching as much. Is it generally a bad idea to cut during periods of high stress? Probably. Ever thought about home gym insurance? What does it cover? I have covered for everything. Theft, fire, everything. Which is comical. Imagine the idea of someone trying to steal thousands of pounds of gym equipment out of a garage in Texas with neighbors everywhere. But it's part of the coverage I have. I have it covered for everything. Never thought about a home gym insurance. Yeah. You don't insure your property? Yeah, your electric bill must be, well, yeah, obviously. No, I still use a dryer. Darko, I have no way to know how those notifications work. I actually have no idea how that works. I know that if you guys are supposed to click that bell, though, to get the notifications, because that's what everybody says. All right. Let's see if we can get some actual real training and fitness related questions instead of questions about live stream notifications and my clothes dryer. Yes, I've done sports in my life. You guys are already aware of what all I've done. All right. I mean, there's entire pretty much books written about me about things I haven't even done on the internet. Oh my God. The YouTube algorithm is a mystery. It's not a complete mystery. I got a class on a lot of it when I was in the what's it called program, where Google gives you like a what they call a partner manager. It's a partner manager program. I was trying to remember the name of it. It's been a while since I was in that. They gave us tutorials on all of it, but we're not supposed to talk about it and give details. Have I ever played soccer? I've never played soccer in my life. I've never seen a soccer game in my life, actually, to be honest. What accessories would you do to build thicker legs to increase squat? Conventional deadlift only have a barbell adjustable dumbbells. Squats, hip hinges, single leg exercises. Exquisite. Exquisite, you're starting to strike me as a troll, just in general. This is the weird sort of questions you ask. Nothing seems to be training related. That's called a warning. All right. If I can do ass to grass squats, should I exclusively ass to grass squat and ditch out parallel squats? Interesting question. Darko, I suppose that depends on what your goals are. Right? Suppose that would depend on what your goals are. What are you doing with the squat? Are you trying to compete in powerlifting? Are you trying to have it carry over to other sports? Are we trying to build muscle? What are we trying to do? Do you limit amount of red meat you consume weekly? It's not the red meat itself that is the concern. It's total saturated fat. Does that make sense? So when you're saying lean red meat, well, it still comes down to a number. How much saturated fat are you consuming? And it's irrespective of the source. I mean, there's no real evidence that the saturated fat in coconut oil is any less harmful in excess than from red meat. So it's not the fact that it's red meat, it's specifically the saturated fat content. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. It's just that, yes, a lot of red meats can be high in saturated fat. But let's not confuse the topic. Does soy affect testing young men, or is that a myth? It really does seem to be a myth. What single leg exercises to target posterior? I don't know that I would do single legs to target posterior chain. I would do them for squat pattern movements. Okay, well, there we go, Darko. If you're chasing hypertrophy, there is definitely a case to be made for full squats. Definitely a case to be made there. My arms do not seem to grow. Should I increase volume first or change exercise selection? Do they not seem to grow? Do you know for a fact they're not growing? And I don't know what the totality of your program looks like or where you're at, right? Is the entire anti-red meat from like the 2000s just based on, yeah, it's all based purely on saturated fat. The issue is saturated fat content. Okay. Our concern here, again, we come over to something like saturated fat. It's not saying saturated fat is bad. It's saying excess saturated fat is bad. Just like we don't say refined fructose is bad, but in excess, it's terrible. Now, I could take that over to a further extreme. Water isn't bad. And that's not the best example because you'll die without water. But most people are aware that you can't drink enough water that it will harm your health, right? It is possible to do so. It's called water intoxication. It can be done. It's obviously, you have to have some water, whereas you don't have to have saturated fat or refined fructose in your diet. But just like with water, there's a safe threshold, right? And then there's a threshold that can harm your health in excess. Is there any point doing volume work on conventional deadlifts? Maybe. I feel like it burns you out really, really quick, just in terms of overuse and just beating you up for the amount of stimulus it gives when done for much volume. A little bit of volume, just not a lot of volume. Is it possible to increase bench frequency on a 4-day upper lower split? I don't recommend you do high frequency benching. I'm aware it's very popular in certain circles in powerlifting, but those guys all break young. Do you recommend gradual rehydration or drinking a bolus of water to rehydrate? Drink a lot of water, dude. Gradual rehydrate, no. You're completely overcomplicating the topic of getting enough fluids in. What brand of fish oil supplements do you use? I feel like the market's very saturated, hard to figure out. Nutricose. I am currently running Pull. I don't like Pull, I think. If I recall, Pull seemed like a lot more volume than people need. I don't remember, though. I would have to look at it. I'm going to be honest, I haven't looked at it in about 10 years. I got injured doing 5x10 deadlifts, never from heavy blower barbell. I assume you mean barbell rows. Yeah, I could see that. Do you prefer cardio before or after lifting? After. How come you can invest nearly? How are your shoulders feeling, Coach? They feel good. No pain, nothing at all. It was just that first day after adding some of the pullovers and stuff that benching just felt a little off right a few days later. Since then, they felt fine. People assess about high frequency for compound lifts, multi-joint lifts, Darko. While there is zero evidence that it helps strengthen when volume is equated. Yeah, that's true. That is true. If we go off what the evidence we have. I mean, we could argue about the quality of the current exercise science field, but exquisite. I need you to reword your question. I don't understand it. Please word it a different way. Because keep in mind, you may be thinking of something specific and I don't have a context for it. Keep in mind, I've been making content for 11 years. So when you just say, why do you think you became dogmatic about whatever? What year are we talking about and what stance are we talking about? Does that make sense? You've got to be very specific with something like that. And I still might not have an answer to you. Who's the best aesthetics-oriented coach on YouTube? I don't know. I'm not up to speed on who's on there. I don't know. Whoever can make you look like a woman is the best aesthetics coach. All right. You want to be aesthetic, get breast augmentation and a Brazilian butt lift and that lip filler. All right. Learn to do makeup. You'd be beautiful. Do seal rows have the best carryover to bench because it's basically, no, not necessarily. How to get rid of acne 19 years old? Soap and water, soap and hot water. Past 1 to 2 years. Oh yeah, because I got hurt doing them. And the problem is it's that shift in mentality to kind of be careful about it. Now, in my case, I know I will be better if I can get my mobility to where I can do them again. But here's the other thing, Exquisite. If I try to do them until my mobility is sorted, I'm just going to hurt myself. Right? So that's really, really a nuanced topic, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of complexity there. And we still know that with overuse, like pull-ups, we know that too many pull-ups cause overuse. Like that's been noted just studying certain types of soldiers. There's studies on this. Like there's stuff even for the military studying this. No, chin-ups aren't safer. Yeah, Nancy, your acne is generally a hygiene issue. Do you plan on bringing back overhead press when your shoulder mobility is better? Darko, yes, but with the caveat, I have to get the shoulder mobility better. Meaning, we have to worry about the process. Okay? We have to worry about the process, not the outcome. And at this point, I can't jump ahead and start worrying about something like that, of adding the overhead press in now. Would I like to? Yes. Would it be a goal? Yes. But don't put the cart before the horse. I have to resolve my shoulder mobility and scapular mobility and range of motion on my pecs, everything. All of that has to be resolved before I can even think about taking an empty barbell and pressing it overhead. Happy Saturday, Jason. What gets you motivated when you're feeling worn down by day-to-day stuff? Oh, I don't worry about motivation. It's not a factor for training. I train because it's on my schedule. I don't have to be motivated. I can be feeling demotivated, depressed, not want to train, and I still go train. That makes sense. I can be completely unmotivated, like where it's the last thing I want to do in the world. I just go get under a barbell. Habit. Don't you think you should get that 405 bench first? Well, Nancy, why does becoming a better overall athlete interfere? In other words, let's come over to the point of hypertrophy. If I have my mobility and stuff sorted and I improve my ranges of motion in my upper body, can I build more muscle easier? Yes. If I build more muscle easier, will it help me get my bench heavier? You know the answer to this. Coach, is doing a 3x10 on both incline and buffalo bar bench after max benching too much volume? Depends. Will you include rings as part of your shoulder? I don't know that rings are a good idea. So we use overhead press accessory to bench or use it as a main lift. No, accessory lift. I don't really care that much about being a main lift. I've heard that when someone is losing muscle, they can taste it in their mouth or something. What do you think of this? Sounds a little quirky to me. What is the proposed mechanism of this? We can make a joke about that, though. When my muscles are loose, I taste it in my mouth. That's the last of my water. Man, what are we going to do now? I could get dehydrated in the middle of this thing. I won't have a tasty beverage to quench my thirst. Then what are we going to do? It's the last time you played a video game. I'm not even sure. Sarcopenia has a flavor, apparently. I suppose it does. It tastes like being old. being old. That's what sarcopenia probably tastes like. Tastes like a nursing home. It'd be some sort of jello or tapioca pudding then. Seems like most athletes peak in their late 30s. Exquisite, I know people who've continued to improve. Hey, Jason, I switched my training, got to lift heavier, 4 sets of 10 reps controlled with a pause. Good idea. I don't know what's going on with your training, Mike. Darko, there is no such thing. Well, okay, right at 1,000. I mean, technically, if they're right at 1,000 and they're not at 1,001, I guess technically it's TRT. I don't know. That's between them and their doctor. But if it puts you at 1,001, you're now super physiological. Therefore, it's not TRT, is it? I don't know. And I'm aware that we shouldn't have to describe stuff by one little tiny dot in a line, but you have to have a line. All right. Dr. Mike is the greatest fitness marketer ever. I don't know, man. You know who is marketed? Athlean X can market. That guy's made millions and millions. He's not even strong. I heard it from Tony Hughes. I want to put on size, coach. My diet is good. I just got to lift heavier, do the big. Well, no, you need some supplemental work. Why don't you have a well-rounded training program? You're currently on the bulk or cut, blah, 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 blah. I'm actually adjusting my diet a little this week. So let's go to the other one. I haven't been drinking diet soda lately, but I don't think that there's any risk of developing cancer. Like if we go off the actual evidence, the evidence does not show any risk. The evidence suggests that if there is a risk, it's not practical, meaning it's a hypothetical that you probably won't be able to achieve in the real world. Kinobody does market pretty well. He's strong to the average person. No, exquisite. He is not strong to the average lifter. Athlean X is not strong at all. Any lifter I know of would not consider him strong. So I don't know where you came up with that. He's strong to someone who's never been in a gym in their life. Hypothetical, Darko. Everyone who tells you they're doing that, it's bullshit. Oh, hold on, let me see. Y'all, I came off and I'm eating watermelon and I'm at 1,500 nanograms per deciliter. Watermelon and happy mud. That's the trick right there, man. You just eat enough watermelon and hypey mud and an alkaline diet, and you'll have no need for TRT, and you'll just shoot your testosterone way outside the normal range. Can we get a current events? Nancy, no one's linking this stuff to me, man. You guys are supposed to link me. I don't know unless you guys link it to me, because then I got to go dig now. I'm not sure if Liver King, does he have a YouTube channel or is he just on Facebook? Who can't bench 220? Wow. Regular gym goers. Man, that's a scary thought to think about, that there are people who literally go to the gym and do the barbell lifts and have been doing it a while, like years, and they can't bench 225, can't deadlift 405. I don't even know what to say about that. I don't actually know what it's like to have a sub 405 deadlift. I built my deadlift over 400 pounds before I ever deadlifted, just from doing other stuff. because the powerlifters at the gym saw me squat and were like, hey man, what do you deadlift? And I go, I've never done a deadlift. So they taught me to deadlift, and I pulled 455. Liver King. Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. Does anyone think he actually came off? Yeah, I mean, Nico, that's the point. You know, people are like, well, everyone starts somewhere, but if you've been lifting for some years, then it's a different story. And that's kind of the point. I mean, I'm not talking about beginner, right? I'm not talking about beginners. I'm talking about people who've been going to the gym 2 or 3 years, right? That's like, what in the world are they even doing? Exposing. I'm not going to predict the deaths of people. I would rather not do that. Man, I don't want to put that sort of energy out. I'm trying to be a more positive person, a more helpful person. And I don't think that's the sort of energy I want to put out, right? Does anything good come out of it? Let me ask you a question. Do you think anything good comes out of putting out negative stuff? I mean, in your personal observation and experience. I have always found it to, to be honest, again, we could talk about energy. You could talk about things like that. But in my own life experience, when you put out negative stuff comes back to you. And it's I just don't want to put that sort of stuff out. It doesn't make the world a better place. It doesn't make me a better person, And then you feel bad about it, okay? Because there are people whose deaths I predicted, and then they did die. I want you to stop and think about that for a minute. Do you think that made me feel good? Do you think it was some sort of sense of haha, or was it more of, man, that's kind of fucked up? I kind of wish I hadn't done that. Right? In retrospect. Right? In retrospect. I didn't feel good about the fact that I was right. So, the thing is, instead of putting that out there, why don't we just try to help people? Let's try to do good stuff. Right? Why did you make the videos? Well, that was a long time ago. Bill, I have a lot of different collab work coming up in the near future. So yes, stay tuned. There's a lot more stuff coming. I don't want to discuss specifics, Darko. I'm not going to name any sort of things like that by name. I don't think it's actually good for the lives or the algorithm or anything like that. So I don't want to discuss those things, to be honest. Plus, I'm not trying to run a gear channel. I'm really not. Does the idea of my reps have any validity? Maybe. What age did you start strength training? You guys remember that rule I said I'm going to start banning you for asking me questions that require me to remember specifics more than 20 years ago? Because now I'm sitting here going, let's see if I can work out the calculator. What year did I, how old was I? See the problem? Let's see. Now, do you see why I've got to sit here and count and break out my fingers? And what age did I start strength training? I'll say I'm 46 now. And how many years ago? Some point in my early 20s. That's the best I can do. Do you think powerlifters who drink alcohol to relax are shortening their gains? Yes. Clint is a beast, but he drinks a lot. I love Clint. Clint's my homie. I know which Clint, obviously, we're talking about. He doesn't drink that much from what I've chatted with him. He does drink. It's not a lot. You'll get a laugh from this. TMZ reporter Greg Doucette is upset that people are making drama videos about it. I was unaware that he had a breakup. Right? I was unaware that he had a breakup. I thought he was married, right? So is he separated from his wife, I guess? I don't know. I mean, I know people love stuff like that, but that's just so boring. I mean, it really is. I don't even like Greg. But, there's a point where you kind of step back and go, I mean, if people really are concerned with his breakup, I mean, did something bad happen? Like, did he do something really terrible or illegal to her? And that's why people are concerned. But if it's not a case of, oh man, he was abusive or something else, if there's nothing like that coming out, why do people care? Like, why do you care about the man? Why does anybody care about the man's personal business? Right? How should an athlete mentally accept setbacks? How does someone whose life revolves around progress and improving themselves, you just accept it, man, emotionally detach and move forward? Coolio, that was a different time. And I didn't really discuss it in much detail. And there was a lot of crazy stuff involved with Lane's multiple divorces. And I think the reason I got into that is because part of it is literally because he hid behind his wife as his reason for attacking me. And then he was cheating on her. The whole time that was happening. That was just kind of like a really, dude. And you know what, though? But that's water under the bridge. It's kind of like, I want to put that in the past too, man. Not a wife long best friend cheated. Well, thoughts on supersetting push-pull movements on upper days. I do it all the time. Does it hinder performance enough to affect hypertrophy in the long haul? No, it shouldn't hinder performance. You can superset. I do it all the time. Right? I've been doing it for months on most of my upper body days. So I do it on camera for you guys and tell you I'm doing it. So clearly, using that logic, clearly I'm cool with it. Yeah. See, Nancy, but that's the thing. No, it's like, does anybody really care about that sort of drama? That who cheated on who and I don't know, man, it just seems so petty. Like nothing in my opinion is going to change about the guy based upon any of that. Online fitness influencers would be better off keeping their private lives private. Miko, that is something I have found to be true. Right? Something I have found to be true. Rachel, I don't know why you want me to say that. I feel like that's some sort of setup. Any thoughts? Yeah. I mean, I've already covered all that in videos of how ridiculous that is. If he's really doing any of that, it's going to be the end of him. He has no business doing that. But as far as the promoting it goes, it's harmful. Like that's harmful information. He is hurting his audience. What more is there to say? Dan asked, what else? Coaching. Yeah, virtual. I am aware of where it comes from. All right, Dan, as far as coaching goes, yeah, there's a lot more to coaching. Look, you're going to have to learn a bit about your clients. You're going to have to figure out how to get their head straight sometimes. You're going to have to look at what's going on with their lives to understand how to manage their fatigue, how to give them advice for managing their fatigue. Literally talk to some of them about their sleep patterns. Are they getting enough sleep? What's their sleep hygiene look like? What are they doing to de-stress? Those are the things that as a coach, you're going to have to talk to your lifters about. You're going to need to get updates from them. A lot of them won't update you on this stuff, which is to their detriment if they don't. You're going to be able to give them consistently better progress if they're willing to do these things and talk to you about it. Okay. Sometimes you play a little bit of counselor. It's just the different hats you wear as a coach, depending upon how involved you choose to be. Will you continue to eat large amounts of fruit as it cools down? I'm actually tapering the fruit down. I've been working rice and stuff like that today. A little bit of healthy fats. If you have a lagging muscle such as calves, do you think training it every day to bring it up? As far as the fruit thing, I'll probably discuss that in the future podcasts. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows with Tricky Chuck what he's doing with that and what his beliefs are. You know, I can't claim to know someone else's relationship with God. I can't claim to know, right? It's not my place to make that sort of judgment. I might not like the way that he's putting some of it, but it's not my place to judge in regards to that part. But I don't like it. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Awesome. Thanks, man. This can be done over Messenger. It can be done over Messenger, but you probably do need to still schedule calls with clients. Jason never quit the YouTube gig. I have no intentions of stopping YouTube. As a base recommendation, how long should our workouts take? I think baseline an hour is a good baseline. Milo, I haven't dug into all those. I'm pretty happy with what platforms I'm using right now. Do you meal prep? What do you find most effective for getting larger amounts of food? I don't really meal prep that much, to be honest. I mean, a lot of my foods don't require prep, you know, but if I'm cooking stuff, I just cook chicken. I cook chicken in bulk. Yeah, exposing. I won't read those names out because if I do, then other people will Google that and they're going to see those things, and they may not be prepared mentally to deal with what they're going to see because they're going to see bodybuilders doing some G for P, you know. And yeah, hey man, I hope you're able to get over the trauma of that, though. Would I look weird if I took a 2-liter yogurt to the office? What, do you care if you look weird? I mean, honestly, is your confidence impacted if you look weird because you're bringing some Whole Foods to the office? People need to get over it. Thoughts on stoicism as an approach to helping the stress? Maybe. Is Facebook still your favorite platform? Yeah, I like Facebook, dude. Facebook's a good platform. I do more Facebook than I do YouTube in terms of just how much I'm on there. To be honest with you, like my YouTube doesn't take that much time or work. It really doesn't. And most of it gets cross promoted, other than these lives. And these lives aren't hard to do. This might be a dumb question, but would any difference in absorption of protein from Greek yogurt by eating versus just throwing a shit ton in a shake? Question is there a difference in absorption? But I mean, does it really matter? Right? Does it really matter? Miko, I have some reasons why I'm not doing some specifically with the algorithm with the Facebook Lives, right? But I'm not going to get into the specifics in here because it's, again, my personal business of what I'm doing. How would you go about getting clients if you were someone getting new to this? I don't know. Yeah, I think Instagram, Facebook, and content is probably your best route. I know people who do that exclusively and get clients. I started with YouTube more, so there's where I've gained most of my clients. Not all of them, but most of them. I have gained clients through the other social media, but YouTube has been, 95% or more. Thoughts on using straps for all your pulling movements? Why? Why? What benefit do you hope to get out of it? Smaller forearms? Right? Yeah, I still do Instagram. It's not the best platform. Right? I struggle to get Instagram to really grow. I know other people who are far more successful at it. I've found YouTube and Facebook to be the most growth. All right. We're at 45 minutes. Let's see if we get some other training questions. Otherwise, I'm going to wind this down. We're about to scoot on out. But yeah, as far as the strap thing goes, what benefit do you hope to gain? I mean, look at my back development, for example. My back is actually probably my best muscle group. When I turn around, people are like, oh, wow, okay. I don't train with straps, and I don't feel that my forearms limit my back development. Just do lots of grip work. Romanian deadlift versus stiff leg, what's the difference? Stiff leg is done with stiff leg, or semi-stiff leg off the floor. Romanian deadlift is a stretch-based movement. It's an eccentric exercise to where you don't touch the floor. I personally think RDLs are slightly better for most purposes. What muscles do you think are most important? Looking jack walking down the street, not in front of a camera. Walking down the street, there is no most important muscle. You need to be big. You can't smoke and mirrors your way around looking big walking down the street. Can calves be the limiting factor in the squat? No. What lift has made you the proudest of yourself? Honestly, this is going to sound funny. The 365 bench for the pause, because I've had to work the hardest for it. The deadlift is my favorite lift. I love the deadlift. Right? Love the deadlift, but I just had to put so much damn work into that bench. No, I'm going to keep benching 2 days a week. Is there much point in training forearms specifically, or will compound, you mean multi-joint? It'll give you most of your development. But if you're going to do some forearm specific work, I would actually lean more in the direction of like reverse curls or hammer curls. Right? How important are hamstrings to the squat? They're great stabilizers. Why are you so weak? Get rid of this guy. Objectively false statement. Jason, Dr. Mike said in the future there could be literature that comes out with information that training with a wider variety of rep ranges provides their own type of growth. Okay, we don't have evidence for this, but here's the caveat. I think he's right. There is an actual possibility that might actually be true, and that there may eventually be evidence for it. When he says there might be, I agree with that statement. Adam, my primary goal is to get all around strong, which would include the big three. Does that make sense? What weight bench would you say hits the intermediate level? I don't know, maybe 245. Right. All right, guys. I think we know what time it is. It's about time to wind this down. Got to sound all sexy. All right, guys. So I hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys and gals, and I will talk to you next time exposing Check the Stickies.